Another super important topic on our agenda today is mentoring and reverse mentoring. Lessons learned from D&I mentoring and reverse mentoring, to be exact. Here to talk about it, please welcome Natalia Selinger, Managing Director at Luxoft. Hello, Natalia.
Hi everyone.
How are you?
Nice to see you. I'm very good, thank you. The weather is great, so I
Is
think it's
it?
yeah. In Wrocław, you can see there is a lot of sun here.
Well, I wish it was better across the country, not only in Wrocław. Luxoft has been with Changemakers as an initiative for the past 5 years. So, Natalia, I'm sure you're very familiar with the nitty gritty of what we are talking about here. And Diversity Hub happens to have one of the biggest mentoring programs in Europe, in fact, for D&I. You have just completed a mentoring program with 34 mentor-mentee couples, if I'm not mistaken. You're about to start the next one. Can we start by explaining the very term? What is D&I mentoring and reverse mentoring? And what's the difference between D&I mentoring, reverse mentoring, and ordinary mentoring?
Yeah, so I'm wondering how much time do we have? You can imagine that we can speak a lot about it, but let me maybe please start with a definition of an ordinary mentoring. And when we were prepared for this mentoring program organized by Diversity Hub, we were given a training which was conducted by Agnieszka Bilińska, who is the CEO of Trusted App Company, who was the person who helped organize this mentoring. So she said in a very very short short way that the mentoring is a partnership relation between a mentor who is a master and between a student who is a mentee. And the goal, the aim of it is, of course, to discover and to develop potential of the mentee. And I think it's important to mention, and this is my experience, which coming from reverse mentoring, from Luxoft, and this ERG mentoring for Diversity Hub, is that it for sure should be built on trust, and it should be like voluntary relation. It should be inspiring. It should have some kind of energy, which I think that you cannot have if you need to pay for this, for example. So for sure, mentoring for me is not about ready-made solution, or is not about paying for this relation, I think. Yeah. So when we would like to translate it to the diversity and inclusion mentoring, I think it's of course the same definition, but the topic is about diversity and inclusion dimensions, and it depends on the company, what company would like to do. So what is the goal of the company when it comes to diversity and inclusion? And based on it, you can use a lot of formats. There is a variety of formats that you can implement if you would like to have diversity and inclusion mentoring in the company. And if I would like to make some kind of examples, we can speak about, for example, cross-culturing mentoring. Why? When we would like to, when we would like to discuss about the cultural differences, we can speak about career mentoring. If we would like to, for example, boost career for some women in the company, we can speak about body mentoring. So you know that this is really very important to build belonging of the newcomers when they join the company. So I think that the body mentoring can be something which can be used as well in this diversity and inclusion area. And one of the very interesting for me type of mentoring, or the format of the mentoring, is like mentoring circles. I'm not sure if you know that this is the one of the format of the mentoring, and it's about the situation when 6 or even 8 people with the same traits, with the same maybe background, meet together with one mentor, and there is a place for making some kind of discussion, for discovering new things within the group. And companies enable this kind of mentoring. I'm thinking about this mentoring circles within ERGs, within employee resources groups. And you ask about reverse mentoring as well, and I think this is one of the very interesting format, because if we think about reverse mentoring, we think about even the name, right? The name suggests that this is something, opposite, that this is something unlike traditional mentoring, so the other way around. So we are talking about the situation when senior leader started to be a mentee, and the person who is more junior but has some experience in some areas of, for example, diversity, is a mentor. So you can see that this is a different way of doing mentoring.
Natalia, I believe I should start by congratulating you on taking us on the whole journey while answering this very first question and still remembering to answer or explain the concept of reverse mentoring at the end. A few days ago, I was in Wrocław to moderate a conference which touched on the importance of mentoring. And by the way, the weather was terrible as well, foggy and ugly and rainy. And at this conference, one of the mentors in a business environment, the program was called Early Warning Europe. You might know something about it. Actually, the idea was that mentors, successful business mentors, help businesses in distress. One of the mentors said, I would not do it if it was paid for, because the whole idea is that you need people with the kind of motivation that goes beyond money in order for this to work. But let me ask you a second question. I would understand from what you've just said that the benefits extend not only to mentees in these programs, but to mentors as well. Could you comment on that?
To be honest, I would add even the organization benefits from this, right? So we have a mentor, we have a mentee, and we have organization as well. So you know that everybody navigates the world differently, right? Our characteristics, like both physical and personal, somehow affect the way we experience life, right?
Luckily not on motorways. We all hopefully navigate the same direction.
True.
Yes.
So it gives you a vast range of perspectives, and I think that if you are a leader of the organization, you need to remember about these perspectives. That there was a lot of talks about what is the goal of CEO, right? We talk about the money, we talk about the revenues, we talk about the business indexes, but how to do it? You need to do it with the people with the right motivation. So if you know the perspective of those people, you can somehow influence this, and you can build this engagement, you can build this belonging, you can build the commitment. So one thing, it's the organization benefits from this mentoring. And when we talk about the mentor, if I'm thinking about myself in this ERG mentoring organized by Diversity Hub, for me it was like it was a real pleasure to meet new people, new person with from different organization, with a different approach, with a different experience, with a different knowledge in the different level of the organization, with the different challenges. So it was so eye-opening for me when I was in this relation. And what I have discovered is that it was so mutual. It was not one way. So it was, this mentoring was for me and for my mentee. And of course, my mentee gained a lot from my experience. We talk about the local things, but my global view, because I have some experience when it comes to global view. So it was something refreshing for her, and refreshment for me. And to be honest, I'm wondering who gained more from this relation.
Funny you should say that, because even though facilitating discussions and conferences is only a part of my job, the reason why I really love doing it is being exposed to not only new people because it sounds impersonal, but actually researching new disciplines, facing different types of personalities is absolutely fascinating. You cannot overestimate the value you get by meeting people representing so many different walks of life, so to say. Who can become a mentor and who can become a mentee in reverse mentoring? And don't tell me everyone.
Well, we need to split, right, this question on two. So when it comes to the question about the mentor could be a person who would like to support, who is ready to support, and who have time, who have resources, and would like to share the knowledge. Of course, we know that some kind of personal skills like ability to listen, and for example acceptance for differences, it's like obvious thing. But if you think about mentor in the reverse mentoring, as I mentioned before, it's a little bit different approach. It's the other way around. So the mentor is a person who is less experienced, so is like more junior, but has this kind of experience, which is important right now, for example, for the company, because of the company's goal of diversity and inclusion. Because when you are, implementing this kind of mentorship, so for example, at Luxoft, we did it when we wanted to raise the awareness about diversity and inclusion, about the underrepresented groups. So the mentor is a person who has this experience and is ready to share this experience. Because for me, this relation in the reverse mentoring is more, I would say, intimate. So the person should be ready to do it. So there is a need to build a trust between the mentee and the mentor, and the organization should be ready for it. But if you think about, yes.
Much as I love talking to you, we only have 1 minute, Natalia, and there's an
Oh my
important
God,
question
really?
coming. Yeah, time flies, believe it or
Okay,
not.
okay. So if
So
I
let me
may add
just
only,
maybe a little more. But what are the values and benefits for a mentor in D&I mentoring? I'm sure there are benefits for both sides, like we've discussed, mentor and mentee. But I would love to hear your personal perspective. That is coming from Tomasz, our audience member. So your
so
personal perspective, you yourself mentioned intimate. Tell us.
well, when it comes to reverse mentoring, I wasn't nor mentor and nor mentee. I was a person who was organizing this project within the company, but there was a lot of discovers we did when we would like to implement it. A lot of questions appears because it is not so that easy to implement this kind of, I would say, intimate relation between a mentee and the mentor. So when we started preparations on this reverse mentoring, it was like, oh my God. So how we will find the right people, how we will communicate it to not overwhelm people, how to how to build the trust. So there was a lot of things we need to think before we implement it, even if we had this positive message from our top management. So yeah, there was a
So
really
to make a Freudian reference, let me tap into your selfish self and ask you, what's in it for me? Like your perspective in taking part in this mentoring program, in fact, from the very beginning. Have you at any point found yourself genuinely surprised that it gave you something you never expected it did or it would?
well, as I mentioned before, for me it was very new that it is so mutual. So mutual. So, when you think about the mentorship, you think that, okay, so mentee will gain a lot from the experience and from the knowledge of the mentor. But for me, it was something what was new, that I learned a lot as well. And yeah, I think that was really refreshing.
Natalia, we have got one more question from Antoni. How long should the mentor-mentee relationship last? How do you think?
From my experience, up to 6 months, it's enough. But when it comes to our diversity and inclusion reverse mentoring program, it lasts 4 months. So the meetings were done in the schedule, one meeting bi-weekly.
Natalia Selinger, it's been an absolute pleasure to talk to you. Thank you for taking the time to answer
Thank
all
you.
these questions of mine.
Thank you.
Natalia
Thank you,
Selinger,
everyone.
Luxoft Managing Director. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
And